Derek, who have you got back? Any of the boys?
Well, Stuart Finley's back training. We've got everybody back. Davy Watson's had a wee shoulder issue going on. He withdrew for the 21s. Managed to get a bit of work into him today. Took an injection to play at Dundee on his shoulder. Just trying to manage that situation with him. It's an injury where if he gets contact on it, it can flare up again. So he's managed to do a bit of work today since coming back with Scotland. But everybody else, just Kyle McInnes, Liam Polworth is going to miss the game as well. He missed the Dundee game as well with a calf injury. It became a wee bit more than we thought it was, but he's probably in the running potentially for Ross County next week, if not the game after.
The kind of win and the manner of the win must give the guys a big lift.
Yeah, I think any time you get a late winner, particularly coming from 2 down with so long to go, there's lots about the game I didn't enjoy. The first half, I didn't think we did enough to impose ourselves in the game. It's something we've spoke about. We lose a cheap goal. We're losing the first goal in too many games, giving ourselves too much to do a lot of time, especially if we've been down to 10 men as well. We've had issues with that, but the positive was getting into the international break was such a brilliant end to the game, you know, and it was no more than we deserved. Second half performance was strong, albeit we're playing against 10 men, but we know ourselves. We went down to 10 minutes at Murn and we still managed to win the second half and get a point. So the onus was on us to find the answers, and the players came on. The subs that came on had a real impact as well. But the performance, the way the game ended was fantastic. Exactly what we needed. You know, we're 5 games unbeaten, but there's too many draws within that. So wins helps us get to where we want to get to. Draws don't. We stay unbeaten at the minute, and we want to try and keep that unbeaten run. Obviously, we've got a different test. Rangers coming on Sunday, but you know, traditionally very strong at home. We know we've got that performance in us to beat Rangers, and hopefully we can deliver that on Sunday.
Just on that, what have you made of Rangers this season, Derek?
Well, I've obviously seen them live a couple of times. I think that I think there's been a turnover in the squad. I think the manager has said himself it will take to October or so for them to find their best form, and I think they're showing little signs of that going forward. I think they've got individuals within their 11 that can score and deliver big moments for them. But they've got a different centre half partnership. That looks as if it's doing well in general. Different options through the midfield as you'd expect at a club like Rangers. But I think much like last season, as you would have to say, in terms of how the system, how they play, how they ask questions how they play the ball forward quicker and a bit longer at times. And within transitions, when the gaps get a bit bigger, they've got players like Barami, Dessers and Cherney and Tom Lawrence who can make a difference.
In terms of your team, Derek, how much the changes that you made at Dennis made such a difference to getting that result? Is it giving you food for thought in terms of your starting 11?
Yeah, I mean, there's 2 sides of that. Managers can get a bit of credit for making the right subs, but then they think, did I pick the right team in the first place, you know? I expected more phase in the first half, I need to say that, and obviously we're going away from home, and Dundee away is not an easy game, so you've got to go in and try and impose yourself on the game. It's something we've spoke about. We've allowed the opposition to score the first goal too many occasions this season, and I think it's something that we want to stop having to come from behind, stop giving ourselves a mountain to climb and start to really impose ourselves in the game, and particularly when you play against a team like Rangers. So we want to try and be the team that's confident at home, as we've shown in the past. We're only 1 point less off than we were at this stage last season, and that was after having beaten Rangers in the first game of the season. So it was a wee bit of a slow burner last year, and we want to have a brilliant campaign. If we can tighten up and stop giving opportunities to opposition, and we're all everybody's got a part to play in that. We've scored 8 goals in the last 3 games, so we're finding our feet. I think we'll get that familiarity, a selection that was a real benefit to us last season. But in answer to your question, there's no doubt that making the changes early enough in the game definitely helped us, and it shows that the strength, the options are there from the bench as well, and you know, it's up to everybody to try and get to their levels to stay in the team.
Derek, sorry, just one last one, Derek. It's just now that first league win's secured, is it all about kicking on from there? You know, we've had the draws now.
Yeah, I think so. I've not been too. I think since we went out of Europe, obviously we picked a point up, we drew here with Hibs. We go down to 10 minutes at Burn, we get a draw there. We from a winning position, a combination of the penalty kick and a mistake allows Dundee United to take 2 points away from us when the second half performance was terrific. We had a strong second half at Dundee as well. It's just, to beat a team like Rangers, you're going to have to get a 90-minute performance. You can't afford to have parts of the game where we're as generous as we were and off the pace it a wee bit. So I do think that, out with the St Johnstone game here, when we went down to 10 men after 15 minutes or so, we have been unbeaten at home out with the Old Firm since the 2nd of December last year. That's including Bruges and Copenhagen and Tromsø. We are traditionally a strong team, so we'll take any sort of positive thoughts and stats get into this type of game, but we have got the team and the performance in us to win the game on Sunday.
Derek, just on that, obviously you said you're only 1 point worse off than you were last season, unbeaten in 5, but is this the kind of game if you win it, it can almost spark the season into life from here? That's when you go on the run and push again right up to the top.
I think the win at Dundee was a great spark in terms of that. It's a reference for us in terms of, I think we might look back at the Dundee game saying that was when we really got ourselves going. I mean, when we get 1, we go and chasing 2, we get 2 and you think we're not settling for that. The boys did brilliantly in that last part of the game. So it was a win that was, the players, everybody needs that. You need those 3 points, you need a winning performance. But there's no doubt, in answer to your question, if we can beat a team like Rangers, it adds to that confidence and feel-good factor. And I'm sure the supporters will turn up here expecting us to make it a difficult game for Rangers, and if we can get those fine lines right and those small margins, it's a game we can win.
Did you notice a change in attitude, Derek, after that win at Dundee compared to previous results when we didn't quite get over the line?
Yeah, I think sometimes, like the Dundee United game, there was so much about the performance, particularly second half, that I loved about us. The stats backed it up. 3 goals in about 16 minutes. We were relentless. It was a proper Kilmarnock performance. But we let the points drift away. It was a mistake for their second goal, and then we lose a goal in the 99th minute. So again, it's only really winning that can reinforce confidence, and I can try, and it's my job to sell it to the players. We're doing a lot right. Just need to cut out certain things, but winning games of football is the biggest factor in all of that. And it was absolutely right to just get the game won, take the good from it, see the positives from it. And go into an international break feeling good about ourselves, which was badly needed.
And just on to Sunday then, as you said, obviously the team are historically good performances at home. Is it just about making Rangers feel as uncomfortable as possible, especially at home crowd? Yeah, I think that's the way it's got to be. I think any team when they come here, you hear opposition managers say it all the time, it's a tough game. They make reference to the surface, they make reference to Kilmarnock's strong home form. That pleases me no end, to be honest. The fact that people do recognise we're a strong team at home, and it's important that we give Rangers exactly that, a tough game. I expect us to do that. I'm expecting a tough game because Rangers, I think, can test your organisation. They've got players that can come up with moments. They're obviously a team like Rangers that you're expected to win week in, week out, so the players are starting to get used to that. We have to try and make sure that we expect to win at home all the time as well, so that's what we're looking for.
Do you feel there's a difference in the squad now after the results you got against Rangers and Celtic last season? And a lot of the same players as well.
Yep.
A lot of the time you have a good season, you lose a lot of players, but you've managed to get a good continuity. Do you sense that the players are really itching to show that they can do what they did last season against?
Yeah, I mean, it's still early on in the week, but obviously we've spoke about it. I think when it comes to game day and running out there at 12 o'clock on Sunday, I actually do believe that there is. I've said this before, it's my job to sell that we can do this and we can spread that belief. But you're right to mention the fact that there was so many involved in wins against Rangers and Celtic last season that you kind of remind them, but it's kind of reinforcing that we've got that performance in us. It's part of it, but the fact that they've lived it and experienced it, I think, is more important. So, and we have got more or less the same team. There's 2 or 3 additions from last season. And hopefully, as I say, the squad kind of show the level of performance we're capable at the weekend. I've no doubts they will.
Derek, see when you're talking about starting games well, I think that's been an issue. How do you actually go about trying to make the players do that? Because they know they have to do it. It's difficult, obviously, to get them to do it.
I think in You know, I think you've got to factor in some of the level of opposition, but I think particularly at home it's important we impose ourselves on game. I think out with both Tromsø games and Copenhagen here, we haven't scored the first goal, which, you know, is far from ideal, that, and it's something that, well, we've looked at changing the warm-up, we've looked at different messaging, how we start the games, the concentration parts. Sometimes I think it's maybe a lack of belief at times, maybe just to go and maybe sussing the opposition out and having a wee look. And you can't afford to do that in this league, and you can't afford to do it particularly at home. So we want to try and, as I say, make it as uncomfortable for teams when they come here as from the get-go, and hopefully that can be the case at the weekend.
As you were saying, though, the confidence presumably helps with that and getting the players believe.
I've never actually felt that confidence was an issue, but you know, because I think we've looked at reasons why the early party. I genuinely think it was as a struggle for us to deal with the come back off Europe and dealing with those early games. Then playing a few games with 10 men, which doesn't help. We will have to own that. We get that, but I also think that performances in each and every game have been decent. But we're just trying to put a 90-minute performance together, and that will help us no end. And the demand of the game brings that on Sunday. You know, you can't come off the game at the weekend. We're not going to dominate the game for 90 minutes, but equally we can't allow Rangers to dominate the game for 90 minutes. And we've got to have big spells and times in the game where we can really make hay, hopefully, and set about the task.
Derek, you obviously spoke last month about the red card that wasn't shown really fully. Colin comes out early this week and says should have been a red card. What do you think when you hear that, when the head of refs comes out after that? Yeah, well, I'd spoke to Willie at the time, and the Monday after this one game, and he'd reinforced what he's come out and made public. I mean, I don't want to say that publicly until the refereeing department want to make it public, but I was satisfied that with his response to how he felt things should have went. He was disappointed. He thought it was a bad day for the refereeing department, and we suffered. There's no doubt about it. And the fact that's out into the public domain from them is just we had to deal with a lot that day. Something we feel should have been down to 9 men in the first half, but the fact it is, you know, there's mistakes there have been recognised, and you know, I think he said whatever he thought.